1940, the attack on Norway, the new technique of invasion in action for the first time against an enemy far from German bases. Their armament, hand grenades, rifles, light machine guns. Their purpose, to paralyze key centers of command. The sea lanes are cleared by pocket battleships, destroyers, and motor torpedo boats. Then up the fjords, their batteries silenced by force or treachery, comes an armada of troop ships. At Oslo, Bergen, Trondheim, Namsos, the story is the same. Mechanization, efficiency, ruthlessness. Within 3 weeks, organized resistance is broken. Norwegian coastline is in German hands, flanking the North Atlantic with a new peril to Britain and the Western world. Now the center of strategic attention moves westward to an island little known hitherto, Iceland. For with Iceland in their hands, the Nazis would hold the keystone to the land arch which joins the old world to the new. And Iceland, 1,000 years of peace, is easy prey. Control of Iceland means control of Greenland. From Cape Farewell, bombers can reach Newfoundland in 3 hours, Halifax in 5 hours, and in 7 hours can strike at the heart of industrial Canada. But the tables were turned on the Nazis. Britain and Canada, acting in concert and using the enemy's own lightning technique, sped contingents of troops to Iceland. Among the many convoys which steamed westward in May 1940 from Canadian ports, some headed far north of the Transatlantic sea lanes. As the blitzkrieg overwhelmed Western Europe, Canadians sailed up the rocky fjords of Iceland. They came as friends, not conquerors of the island people. Citizens of a great new democracy, they came to safeguard the oldest democracy on earth. Into the port of Reykjavik they sailed, bringing with them shiploads of special equipment. Scores of heavy-duty trucks built in Canadian plants, tough and rugged in construction. For a treeless land, Canadian lumber for building. For a land without coal, thousands of sacks of fuel. They came to a country warmed on the south by the Gulf Stream, but bounded on the north by the Arctic Circle. Its towns were spread along a narrow coastal fringe, while inland rose vast glaciers and desolate volcanic mountains. The Icelanders lived by fishing and sheep herding. They had never seen a soldier. They were completely defenseless. Thus, the Canadians had to bring with them every single piece of equipment needed for modern warfare. Working at full speed, with 20 hours of sunlight a day, they hauled the big coastal guns into position to command the island's approaches. At first, they lived in tents, hastily camouflaged. But against the nights of Arctic winter, they put up Nissen huts, cheap and easy to build. with strong points manned 24 hours a day. Pioneer detachments built gun pits and breastworks out of stones and tussocks, for to uproot grass in this barren country is a serious crime. They laid their own lines of communication, running field telephones down rocky gorges and over bleak hillsides. They turned their gun tractors to clearing the land of its huge glaciated boulders. In 6 weeks, they had transformed Iceland from an unprotected prize ripe for Nazi picking into a heavily armed fortress. They were not a moment too soon. By June 1940, Germany had gained control of the European coastline from Spain to the Arctic Circle, and from 100 ports and airfields, she sent forth messengers of death. Stukas of sky and sea combined their strategy to pour destruction into Britain's vitally important supply ships. And German eyes turned hungrily westward in a search for new offensive bases. With Iceland already a formidable citadel, the Canadians and their British comrades labor on to secure it against the threat of invasion. In strange, new surroundings, they go through the familiar maneuvers of mechanized war. Bren carriers rush troops to all parts of the island, rehearsing against the moment when they may have to strike at a concentrated landing force, and strike hard. In such rugged country, ordinary vehicles are of little use, but the mobile carriers make light of every obstacle as they race from the hills to the shore. But with each passing week, the submarine menace grows more deadly. Swift scouts of the air search out our convoys. Bombers follow on the trail and guide whole flotillas of U-boats to the spot. Iceland becomes doubly important, for it lies a relatively shorter distance from the approaches to Britain now that Nazi submarines infest southern waters. Even with bases at Brest and Bergen, the Nazis crave a still closer base for their attacks. That base is Iceland. But those who have seen the island's defenses report that if the Germans should attack, they will meet their match. Anti-aircraft batteries sweep the skies. Coastal defense guns ring the shoreline. Overhead, the Fleet Air Arm patrols far out to sea. Thus, Canada, looking eastward from the ports of her own Atlantic seaboard, gives assurance to the people of Britain that the convoys from the New World will flow safely on. Over the horizon lies a new stronghold, watching and protecting democracy's lifeline, held by the guards of the North.
Yes?
Here's your radiogram now, sir.
Go ahead.
It reads, Re-Canadian production, Avro Lancaster bombers, confirmation effective as from today.
Okay.
Hey, if you fellas heard the news, we're going to build 4 motor bombers.
Oh, yeah?
I tell you, it's true. We're going to build them right here in this plant.
The biggest long-range bomber in the world.
Yeah, it carries 8 tons of bombs.
Sure, we can build them.
Well, we couldn't have built them a couple of years ago, but we can now.
Yes, we can build the biggest bombers now. We've got the materials, aluminum from Arvida, nickel from Sudbury, magnesium from Haley, supply trains running day and night from distant raw material sources to the assembly plants. All we need now is the tools.
Sure, we can handle the job, but we've got to have machine tools and plenty of them. Do I need many? Brother, the tools I haven't got, you could just about squeeze into Varsity Stadium. I know they're scarce, but it takes 10,000 jigs and tools to turn out an aircraft the size of the Lancaster. There are 55,000 parts in that plane, and we hope to make more than half of them right here in the plant. Yes, we'll subcontract the rest all over the country. We've got parts coming in all day long.
From Toronto, Montreal, Brantford, Hamilton, day and night the telephones ring, the parts come rolling in, the blueprints from the drafting offices, 20 tons of them. Rushed in by bomber, worked over by engineers and designers, broken down into production flow patterns. They don't look like much when you see them reduced to a few thin sheets of microfilm. But study them a little while, and you'll see that you'll need thousands of men to put that plane into regular production. Thousands of skills, and among them 300 of the rarest of all, the key men of mass production, tool makers.
All the tool makers you can get. Want to see me? Yes, Jack. I've got 30 tool makers and I need 300.
300? Where are you going to get them?
Can you spare me any men from production?
Not real tool makers.
Well, they don't have to be. If they can handle the drill or know how to handle a file, send them over. We'll make tool makers out of them.
And we made tool makers out of them. Farmers, laborers, men from converted industries, even housewives. And while we were training the men and women, while we were building all the jigs and tools we could, we went after the special machines we couldn't make.
Look, we're tooling up for Lancaster production, and we need spar milling machines. When can you make delivery? Priority? Yes, we've got a triple-plated grade A priority on everything we need.
That's how we went to work. First came the jigs and dies, to the aircraft what the mold is to a coin. But as the new coin is only the first of thousands, so our first fuselage parts were soon followed by others on the flow production line. We call it a marriage when the three parts of the fuselage are joined for the first time. But it's not until the wings are joined that the plane can take off for battle. It's the four engines with their 5,000 horsepower that help her to outrange and outfly the enemy's fighters at 4 times the speed of an express train. She needs good engines and air screws in this final battle for the air of Europe. In that battle, she can't afford to have blind spots, so our girls check the tail turret that guards the lives of 7 men. No plane in the world carries more bombs than this. You can pack a whole Spitfire into its bomb bay. It carries 15,000 pounds of bombs, more than 3 Wellingtons together. It's a night bomber, and in a raid it's got to be blacked out like a house. Seats in a battle plane don't have to be upholstered. They've got to be armored. And the men and women who build them carry the lives of the crew in their hands. We used to wonder if every small part was worth all the care and trouble we gave it. But then someone would remind us that a plane's whole mission depended on every part, and on the hidden parts most of all. Finally, we gave the ship her first name. Nothing fancy, just KB-700, a production number as plain and businesslike as the machine that was to carry the name into battle. Yes, she was nearly ready for battle. And as we looked at that long, slender plane, we thought of all the work we'd put into it, the months of effort, and now the reward. Some had doubted that the thing could be done, but we knew we could do it. A Canadian job, needing only a Canadian crew. And there they were, right in our plant, everyone a veteran of more than 30 operational flights, some of them flown to Canada a few minutes after their return from a raid on Europe. We got talking to those boys, and we made friends with them. They'd come together from the coast, the prairies, the east to make up a crew, just as we'd come from all over Canada to make up a plane. And somehow, as we talked, the plane became a cross-section and symbol of all Canada. The last day before the plane was ready for its flight, we had a party at the plant, open house for everyone. The girls and fellas showing each other the job they'd done on the big ship. And as the dawn broke over the roofs of the plant, we took our big plane out of her hangar slowly onto the gray concrete runway. Remember, this was to be our last contact with her. To us, she was a living thing. When the test flights were done, the crew took over, anxious to be on their way. They had picked up one more crew member in Canada, a white Scottish-Canadian, Saskatchewan-born. They called him B for Bambi. Slanting light of dawn, the men in the plane saw the farms of Ontario unfolding below them like a map.
First course, 087 degrees, 087 degrees.
Then, as the navigator set his course for England, the coast of the Maritimes gave way to the gray Atlantic. The boys kidded among themselves as they crossed the ice floes way out at sea.
I wonder who's taking Joyce out tonight. I don't know. She probably wasn't going to meet Mike anyway. Oh, yeah? You guys are just jealous because she wouldn't give you a tumble.
It was cold at 7,000 feet over the Atlantic above the clouds. At dawn, when the sun came out, they went down a few thousand feet to get warm. Then suddenly, the meadows of old England, as gently they eased her down to journey's end. back at their station spot on at 10 a.m. with 350 gallons of gas still left in their tanks, to be welcomed by their senior officer overseas and by Canada's High Commissioner. Soon they heard Sir Stafford Cripps, Britain's Minister of Aircraft Production, telling them what England thought of their plane.
Recently, we've received from the hands of the Canadian workers their first Lancaster bomber to be sent to this country. It's a magnificent plane, up to the highest standards of production and performance. We hope it's the first of a very long series, which will fly quickly to the aerodromes of this country and load up with bombs for Germany.
And so it did when Johnny Fauquier from Ottawa, hero of many Canadian air battles, briefed the men of the Canadian Lancaster squadrons.
Our target tonight, Berlin. Germany is groggy and reeling. If you put the same effort into this attack tonight as you did into Hamburg, when you smashed Hamburg, you'll deal the enemy a blow from which they may well find it impossible to recover. Remember, bomb aimers, the pilots are depending on you to take them right into the aiming point. Now it's up to you, men. Good luck to you, and off you go.
How's the kite, Chiefy?
All set, sir. We'll smarten up this trip.
2 to 1 on a watch off the scrub tonight.
I'll take you 2 to 1. If we're scrubbed tonight, I hope it's in time to make the local pub. Bait the government out of an egg tonight.
The Battle of France, the Battle of Britain, the Battle of the Mediterranean, and now the Battle of Europe. 1,000 planes, 7,000 men, 5 million pounds of bombs hurled against targets 600 miles away. As KB-700 took off into the English night, back home more than 2,000 miles away across the sea, we heard that she had a new name now, Q for Queenie.
Tonight, the radio stations of Germany have gone off the air again, as the largest air raid in history is moving to its climax.
Hey, listen to this, fellas.
More than 1,000 British and Canadian heavy bombers are over Berlin again. And among them is the first Canadian-built Lancaster bomber.
Why, that's our baby.
Hey, have you heard the news? Q for Queenie bomb Berlin.
Q for Queenie, what's that?
Don't you remember? KB-700, our first baby.
On course. Okay. Oxygen on. Everybody getting oxygen? Bomb aimer okay. Wireless off okay, Skip. Navigator doing fine. Engineer all set. Been up are okay. Rear gunner okay. On track. Okay, fella. Bomb fuse, nose and tail. Guns cock and check. Okay, what's the temperature? Minus 25. Hey, Skip, what's your speed and height? 160, 18,500. How are we doing for time? Okay, on time. Flag bursting, 9 o'clock. Keep your eyes open, fella. What do you think I'm doing? Picking flowers? Get weaving, bum.
Tonight, tomorrow night, every night, till the job is done.